I freed myself from the shackles of hormonal migraines 99% of the time with cycle syncing. And I'm not so hippie woo woo with the cycle syncing, I need to flow with the moon kind of stuff, but this actually changed my life and I want to share it with you. I'm Sarah. I am a holistic wellness coach, mostly specializing in body image and confidence for women for the past 5 years. But I take a holistic approach to my own wellness, and I was struggling with severe chronic migraines that I've had for probably 12 years since I hit puberty around 14. They've been really, really bad the last year or so, and I've finally gotten a handle on them, really found some peace with it, and they only flare up every now and then. And cycle syncing is one of the things that I tried that actually stuck. I was really skeptical at first, but it's basically just allowed me to understand my own body and have some control over my own body again. And we're talking like I was having 3 week long migraine flare ups, like the same migraine every day for 3 weeks. And then I'd have a few days of relief and then it would happen again. And I was just so defeated. Like I couldn't exercise, I couldn't work, I couldn't socialize. I was miserable, obviously. I was in so much pain, but I was also just like so depressed and anxious and fearful about what was going wrong with my body. And I changed a lot really quickly, but cycle syncing was one of the things that actually almost gave me this like system for figuring out what was going on in my body and making some changes that I could actually tell were having an impact. So I don't think that there's any right or wrong way to do this. I want to emphasize from the start that every body is so different, and this is what I teach all of my clients in our client work. I help my clients find holistic wellness and body confidence, and a huge part of that journey is disconnecting from this idea that there's one way to be healthy or one way to take care of yourself or one way to do self-care or mental wellness, because everyone is so different. And that is why I really value cycle syncing. So I'm gonna show you kind of the basics. I actually, when I was learning about this, I made it into a PDF for myself, and like a PDF so that I could carry it on my phone and reference it when I was out and about, because I am self-employed. I really care about my nutrition. I work out a lot when I'm not having a migraine flare up. I really value those parts of my life, and I really value also having self-compassion and knowing how to listen to my body, listen to my needs. And there was so much information I was consuming through podcasts, books, YouTube videos, websites, like reading articles, following people on Instagram, and consuming their content. I learned so much so fast, but I needed to put it all in one place. So in the description of this video, there will be a free download for the PDF I'm gonna show you, because I give it to all my clients. I give it to the people that follow me on social media when they ask me about how I found so much freedom from hormonal chronic migraines. I don't even know if they're hormonal, like they're made worse by hormones, but there's definitely something else going on in there because the hormones don't just make them go away. But I give this away because it's such a valuable resource, and I'll show you what it looks like. I rebooted my old ass iPad to be able to show you this in real time. And it basically just organized so much information so that I could understand it. So there's 4 main phases of our hormonal cycle. And I made this PDF so that regardless of what phase of your cycle you're in, you can know what's best for your body and kind of play around with that and then figure out exactly what's best for your unique body. But there is a level of science to the female hormonal cycle, and it's something that we're never taught in school. We live in a patriarchy, we work 9 to 5s, none of that is conducive to a 28 approximately day cycle that women have. That's conducive to a male hormonal cycle, which is more 24 hours. So we have 4 main phases. If you have irregular periods, if you are on birth control, I was on an IUD so I didn't bleed for a really long time. I ended up getting it out so that I could do this better because my migraines were so bad that I was like, take it out of me, I'm done. But I was just on a book club call with my girlfriends from the States. I keep in touch with everybody from America, even though I live in Bali. And we had our monthly book club. I just spent like half an hour talking to them about this and then sending them the guide. So it just felt like something I had to share. And some of them are on birth control, some of them have the IUD, Some of them are not on birth control, but they have regular periods. Everything is addressed in there because, again, it's all about just getting comfortable with your own body. But first things first, cycle syncing for baddies, because we are baddies. Gorgeous photo of me. Again, you can get this for free in the link in my bio. I'll skip all the pages where I'm talking about who I am because I know who I am. But this is a general outline of our cycle. This might be backwards. I apologize if it's backwards when you're actually looking at it. It's a little bit hard to see when I catch the light. We'll go a little sideways. Can I fix the exposure? Oh, no, where did it go? Okay, I can do this. Okay, so we have a 28-day approximately hormonal cycle. There's 4 phases. You don't need to memorize this. You'll be able to see it in the guide. I just want you to see the bigger, bigger picture, the circle here. We have 4 main phases. So we have luteal and follicular, and then within that, we have menstruation and ovulation. Maybe these are words you've heard before, maybe not. You don't need to memorize them right now. You don't need to memorize anything because I put it all in a PDF for you. But long story short, there are different foods, movement types, and activities that are more aligned depending on where you're at in your cycle. I'm not of the belief system that there is a right or a wrong. I really focus on foods you can add into your diet, not foods you cut out. I'm eating disorder recovered. I am a holistic wellness person. I don't believe in that dieting shit. Foods you can add in, movement types you can focus on because your body is different at different parts of your cycle. So there's different times of the month where you're gonna have more energy, or even like, for example, at certain parts of your cycle, like your ligaments can be more sensitive. So if you're doing high intensity exercise, it might be more likely that you'll get injured if you're doing that because your ligaments are more fragile. But the way that I broke this up is for each phase of your cycle, this is menstrual, you don't have to read it, there are 4 columns. So first things first, we have like key features. So just a little description of what's going on. And then we have our nutrition, which is super important. And I have notes here on, like, again, I put in there, these are foods we add in, not necessarily an exclusive list. And there's a bunch of stuff on there that's gonna show you. And then we have the same with movement and productivity. So productivity might look different for everyone. We have these here. Might look different for everyone. Productivity might be your social life. It might be your dating life. If you're someone who's open to dating like me, it actually really helps to understand where you're at in your cycle because it affects your body image, it affects your enthusiasm, it affects your sex drive. It's all relevant there. And it also might be like just workflow. I'm self-employed, so things like that. Like I decide there's actually a good time in your cycle to have conversations about getting a raise or bringing up a hard topic with your partner or with a friend or getting out there in the dating scene or staying in and nourishing yourself with a movie night and some chocolate and some rest. It's really amazing. So the whole chart that I've made for you goes through each phase of your hormonal cycle, and it's amazing. And then there's notes on there of like if you have an irregular cycle or anything like that, how to get into cycle syncing, where to start. It really breaks it down for you. The reason this was life-changing for me is because my migraines are influenced by sudden changes in my hormones, and when I wasn't cycle syncing, I had no way of knowing when that was coming. Now that I'm cycle syncing and I understand like, oh, this drop in my energy or this spike in my sex drive or what's coming out of me, there's a science to that. I have a great app to track it if you want it as well. How I'm, like my body image, how I'm feeling about my friends, like all of these little cues I used to chalk up to just being like crazy or unhealthy or inconsistent. There's actually an explanation behind them. And through all of this, I personally was able to find what works best for my body. So for me, with the migraines, that's little things through trial and error, through a couple months of just like learning about this, using the guide on the go, and then seeing what made me feel better and what didn't. I have recently switched from coffee to matcha because that influences your hormones and also just like your wellness in general for someone like me with my specific health constraints. Everyone's different. I eat a steak 3 days before my period, and it makes everything better. It really does. Like, I didn't eat meat for 9 years. Shocker that I've had these migraines for 12, and when I started eating meat again, for me personally, that was such a game changer. I no longer do high intensity movement right before my period. I have synced my workflow to this. So like there's times where I don't want to do anything. And I actually, for the first time in my life, have self-compassion for that. And I'm like, oh, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Like, this is where I'm at in my cycle. And I have self-trust now, self-compassion and self-trust, because I know that I'll do it later. And I know that that's not always how work works, but it makes you a little bit more gentle with yourself when you're having a low week or a hard day. Same as when you're really in your head about like your relationship, or you really have no enthusiasm for dating, even though you know that it's something that you should be working on. All of that. It really explains so much of our lives that we are never taught to understand. For me, it was life-changing for my physical health, but it's also how I do dating, work, sales calls, how I do new creative projects. A lot of my work is creative. When I travel, when I run retreats, when I have hard conversations with my best friends, like everything goes better now. Everything is smoother because I trust my body and I understand my body. And that is something that we are so removed from in this world. This might feel like a lot of information. You might be thinking like, that's so much, there's no way I can figure that out. Like, she figured it out, but that's just too much for me. I used to feel the exact same way. And if you want help with this, this is one of the many things, like I said, that I give this to all of my clients. This is one of the many things that I help my clients with because I do holistic wellness and I do body neutral wellness coaching. So we find your fitness, your nutrition, your self-care, your self-esteem, your work life, your relationship life, all of that from the lens of decentering what your body looks like and reconnecting to your body, like embracing embodiment in that way. There's always a consultation link in the description of the video, and you can always book that with me. I would love to see if doing some work together would be right for you. But regardless, get the free guide that's also going to be in the description. It is life-changing. If you have questions on it, send me an email, leave a comment. I want to hear how you're excited to implement this in your life. It's not just for migraines. It's not just for knowing when your period's coming. It will actually give you the best mental and physical wellness of your life if it's the right tool for you, which it absolutely has been for me. And it's so refreshing because it is customizable. There's so much out there that tells us that we should be a certain way, look a certain way, do things a certain way, that healthy is this one definition, and it's just not true. It's just not true. I've learned that so many times through chronic pain, through eating disorders, through disconnecting from diet culture, through my holistic wellness certifications, through living in a different country. Like, Asia is completely different from the US in so many ways. So many things that we think are the way in the US, the way that we're taught, is completely different here, and that's okay. This really empowers you, and it really brings you back to your body. So you can start one day at a time, just start to become more aware of your cycle. And if you need more help with it, or you just want a little bit of support, book that consultation with me. That's what I'm there for. So get the guide, start getting into the cycle syncing, ask me questions, and I post a video every week. I will be here next time. I am Sarah, and I'm so excited to see how this helps you too. It's literally freed me from the worst chronic pain of my life, amongst many other things: body confidence, consistent fitness, dating confidence, so many things. It is truly life-changing. So I love you. I'll see you next time.